Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today for a webinar focusing on student caregivers. My name is Fernando Reyes. I'm with the SDSU Center for Excellence in Aging and Longevity, and we're excited to host this webinar in partnership with the Women's Resource Center. At SEAL, a majority of our work focuses on supporting caregivers. In the past 2 years, we've engaged more than 8,000 participants in our caregiver training and peer support program, including students who are balancing caregiving alongside school, work, and other responsibilities. Many student caregivers quietly carry significant responsibilities that often go unseen or unrecognized. Today's conversation is about bringing visibility to those experiences and creating space for understanding and support. I'm honored to be joined today by four student caregivers. They've generously agreed to share their experiences, challenges, and insights. We'll start with introductions and then I'll ask a few questions to help guide our discussion. To start off, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves, including a little bit, maybe perhaps like your major, your campus involvement, and family life? And maybe we could start with Cheryl.
Sure. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Cheryl. I graduated from San Diego State. Woo! Go Aztecs! I've been waiting to use this. It says SDSU alumni. But I graduated from SDSU in December 2025 with a bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary studies, IS3D, with emphasis in women's studies, psychology, and recreation and tourism management, with a minor in leadership. I transferred to SDSU in the fall of 2023. I was involved with SPA, which is Student Parents Allies Association. I was the treasurer in 2024 and president in fall 2025. I also volunteered with the Women's Resource Center when I first transferred over. Um, and I also was a member at large with RTSA, which is Recreation and Tourism Management, in fall of 2025. I am a parent to my son. I have a 5-year-old son who will be 6 next month. His name's Robin. He's in elementary school. I'm also beginning a journey with as a caregiver for my mom. She was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2018, but is still in the early stages. So I'm getting familiar with this, and so it's pretty new for me. Um, but I am still learning and adjusting and applying to grad school for the Masters of Public Administration. Um, so I'm looking forward to that, to continue my education journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. And how about Alexis?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alexis. I'm majoring in child and family development, counseling, and also social work. This is I'm a transfer student from Mesa College, so I think I'm sophomore. I work with SPA, and then also I am a part of the PPSI. And I assist in co-facilitating the Student Parent Healing Circle at the Women's Resource Center. I am the mother of Ethan and Zara. Actually, tomorrow is my son's birthday. He'll be 8, and my daughter is 6, almost 17. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I made it, finally parked. It's been busy, but I'm glad to be here and share my experience as a parenting student.
Thank you, Alexis. And Heather?
Hi, thanks for having me here today. My name's Heather Roberts. I am in the Masters of Social Work program. I'm in my third year of the 4-year program. I'm very part-time because I am part-time caregiver for my sister who has profound intellectual and developmental disabilities. And as we are both aging, her physical disabilities are becoming more pronounced as well. And then my daughter is actually a student in child and family development, also at San Diego State. She just turned 24, so she's pretty much she's living at home. I don't have too much parenting of her on my plate. But in addition to my sister, I also help my mom, who is my sister's primary caregiver. Um, but whenever my mom gets sick or if she has something going on, then my caregiving responsibilities amp up as they have. In the past 2 weeks, my mom fell and got an injury, so I've been doing double duty of caregiving. So, as far as being involved on campus, I'm not involved in any particular groups per se, but I am a graduate assistant with the Social Policy Institute, supporting a program that works with transitional age youth that have intellectual and developmental disabilities. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Heather. And last but not least, David.
Hi there. Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David, David Ontiveros. I am in the 3 year of the 3 year master's program for social work, so almost done in May, finishing up soon. Not too much involvement on campus with any club or anything like that. Do some like volunteering from time to time. So I think the SDSU powwow I've been able to volunteer at, Lavender graduation I've been able to volunteer at. So small little events, but not too much involvement besides that or outside of that. I am as part of my master's program, there is an internship opportunity, and so that is where I am able to help participate in an internship with Social Policy Institute as well as with CEAL, and being able to help with the Center for Excellence in Aging and Longevity. Um, with my family, so I'm one of the main caregivers for my sister who is living with Down syndrome. She is 21, about to be 22, which is very exciting. There are a lot of like family circumstances that have happened and kind of taken place to kind of put me along with my dad and my sister in the more like caregiving role. We're taking over for my mom who passed away about like 5 or 6 years ago. And so kind of stepping into more of the primary caregiving role is kind of the journey that I'm on, as well as kind of being in school and everything, which is kind of what this panel is here about for. Um, Other than that, I think that's about it on my end. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, David. Yeah, some amazing work everybody seems to be doing, both in the classroom and outside. So I'll start off by asking, what challenges have you faced as a caregiver? Again, even more as a student caregiver.
This has been sitting with me. I'm trying to figure out balance in life. That's the main thing. And I'm realizing that um it's something that comes with the season. So I'm trying not to be too very structured because I tend to be very hard on myself. So I'm trying to give myself grace. Um, but yeah, the main challenging thing is trying to be the best that I can, that I see on my level of best in all the areas that I'm responsible for. I try not to focus on social media, not to focus on what society deems best. So how to make sure point that out. But of recent, I've been trying to be a better parent, focusing on school, focusing on work, and then the other things that are important to me, if I have enough time on my plate, then they come secondary. So that's the most challenging part. Like there's so many things that I want to do, so many things I want to participating in, and I know that I could do more, but I just like my body and energy and capacity doesn't go with the drive that I have. So I'm coming to terms with accepting what I'm capable of everything, but I need to accept what I could realistically do. So that's a challenging part, just like taking some things off my plate and just like choose my season, do my best with a handful of things and have many things, and I'm doing a poor job. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, I know that's always trying to balance just everything that comes at you. And like I said, so much things that we get from all aspects of life, whether it's school, it's the world news and everything that kind of comes at you. You got to be able to deal with that, but just also be able to know what's important, really focus on what your needs are there. So thank you for sharing. Yeah. How about Heather? Again, what would you say the most challenging
Yeah.
challenges you face as a caregiver?
Yeah, I mean, I will definitely echo what Alexis was saying about balance. Um, similar to what she said also, this idea that I can do anything, but I can't do everything. So sometimes saying no to things that I really want to do just because I don't have the time for them. Um, learning to do that because I am very much, I don't like to pass up opportunities that sound interesting, and then I sometimes get overcommitted. Um, I'm finding again right now I'm in the my situation. And perhaps, sort of like with David, with our situation with siblings that are going to require lifetime care. I feel like it's a little bit different than, like when I was raising my children, like eventually they'll be, hopefully self-sufficient. Whereas a lot of my caregiving is coming at this sort of later stage in my life with my aging parents and my aging sister. So, and then these last couple weeks where there's just been I'm really getting a glimpse into what that future is going to look like as, my mom continues, just trying to balance caregiving for two people that have, my sister's care is very physical. Um, and so I'm just tired. I've been really, trying to find the time to actually study and do my reading when I have the mental capacity to focus has been really challenging. Um, so that's a very practical application. I will say, um, trying to figure out when, I know that mornings I'm a good morning is when I have my most of my energy. So I try to um, fit studying in early in the like sometimes I'll get up at like 4 or 5 in the morning to do that before the rest of everything else kicks in. But yeah, the balance, and I think that probably for all of us, even going into school, we knew that there was going to be this caregiving that we had to balance. And so that, I know for me, that was a huge factor in why I'm in the part-time program and not a full-time program, because there would be no way that I would be able to do my caregiving and do my part-time job and have family time and do my studies with a full-time course load. And which is sort of, something that as student caregivers compared to other like that it adds because I have to be in school for 4 years instead of say 2 years, that's 2 more years of tuition that I have to pay. So caregiving, there's definitely like a financial impact with caregiving as well.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. And David, I'll put the same question again for you.
Yeah, to echo Heather and Alexis, and then also just to echo the title of the webinar is balance. Like balance is one of the current themes and constant themes that have happened through my journey through school and kind of jumping into what caregiving is going to look like, going to a part-time program. This last year has been much more of a full-time jump, having 5 classes, 4 classes this semester, 5 classes last semester, internship on top of things, still working a full-time job, needing caregiving. It is wanting to do everything. Recognizing what needs to be done is the tricky part. And so I think for me, kind of to piggyback off of what Heather was saying and to to really kind of highlight I don't know what else to call it other than like the word that comes to mind is whiplash sometimes where you're like sitting in a classroom but then you get a call and you're like, "Oh, I have to leave the classroom right now really quickly because there's like kind of something happening at home that I kind of need to be present for." but not being able to be present because recognizing that school is also where I'm at right now. So it sometimes really is that like that level of engagement, like being able to be a student and not being able to be a caregiver and having to like remove those hats or set those hats aside, knowing that someone else can kind of take that on. It's a weird kind of challenge, which to some degree is also a benefit, knowing that I can take my hat off and know that my dad is going to be able to be at home and taking care of my sister. Um, so it's yeah, no no one specific thing other than like the theme of balance and like the reprioritization around what that takes and what it means to be balanced, I guess. Um, Another part that kind of comes to mind is the kind of like care coordination that happens with caregiving sometimes. And me having had a bachelor's in social or having a bachelor's in social work, stepping into a master's program in social work, knowing a lot of the like the community services that are available, how things work in the social service realm, um, being that kind of like social worker in my family, knowing how systems work and wanting to kind of be able to activate a lot of those for my sister, but not necessarily with my dad and limited English and limited knowledge in the social work realm. A lot of that kind of falls to me, and so that kind of care coordination or sometimes the scheduling can be like shift the balance sometimes. And so it's a constant juggle of what needs time, what needs energy, how do you prevent yourself from being tired? How do you also have time for yourself? It's a lot of challenges that kind of come around this kind of student caregiving space.
Yeah, yeah. A lot to, like you said, balance out.
Mhm.
Yeah. And Cheryl, again, for you, what do you think is the biggest challenges you face as a caregiver, again, as a student caregiver?
Awesome. Yep, I'm here to echo Alexis, David, and Heather as well. Time has definitely been one of the biggest challenges, just like caregiving responsibilities and parenting responsibilities. They don't stop for school, for deadlines, work, other leadership commitments. So a lot of things happen like late at night or, um, when you least expect it, or they all happen at once. And, that could look like just, I don't know, finishing assignments after my son's gone down and it's like limited hours of sleep, but it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be getting good sleep so I can be my best, during the day. So it's like making those small sacrifices. And I don't know. I've just learned that sometimes when things like start to feel kind of overwhelming or I'm reaching my limit, just asking for help and you know, I know when I've done that in the past, it's like I find out about different resources that I didn't know about before. Um, but sometimes, caregiving, I feel like can kind of feel invisible on campus, especially when you're still learning what the role looks like and how to advocate for yourself. Um, and when my son would get sick, like Heather was saying, it's kind of like doubling up. So now it's like I'm having to take care of my son, and I'm also having to take care of my mom. So it's like everything at once. Excuse me. I know that saying it's like you got to put your oxygen mask on first so you can, be your best for others, so you can take care of others. But I'm like sometimes it's like I can't, put my oxygen mask on first, So it's hard. But I have to remember, giving myself grace and just to suit up and show up, even when I don't want to and when it's really hard, and just to do my best. And some days are hard, and I'm like, grateful to be able to even be able to do these things and try again, tomorrow's another day, So just doing my best and with the time that I have, and I like what Heather was saying too, is sometimes learning to say no to things. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, get the information. Students you're already balancing so much, but then you bring on that role as caregiver, which is basically a 24-hour job. There is no start or end time, but being able to again balance, your obligations as caregivers, as students, as friends, and whatever else you have going. I think it's always that key. But as caregivers, there is none. Like they would say, you don't know if you're going to get a call right in the middle of class. It could be an emergency, and that's tough. A lot of people don't really understand what that is like. So thank you for sharing. My next question for our panel here is, what words of encouragement or wisdom would you share with other caregivers?
I guess just a very blanket, like just be kind to yourself. Like remember that you're also a person and that to some degree you are also a caregiver for yourself. I think that's something that uh, I've had to kind of learn about and it's a weird kind of like space. I think Cheryl said it where you have to put your oxygen mask on first. Sometimes it really is like maybe I'm feeling sick, and then that's where you start to lean on your support systems a little bit more, or just kind of be okay with things not being perfect, not being the best, and being okay with that, and being kind to yourself and allowing yourself to really say, dishes can wait another day. Um, right now, I just need a rest. I need a moment. I need some space to focus on my studies or do a quick meditation or just sit and kind of scroll on my phone just for a little bit and blanket my mind a bit. Kind of just that like that kindness and um yeah, like there's so much added on that we kind of forget ourselves or sometimes we lose ourselves within it. And so it is always nice to just like it's very cliche and sometimes I roll my eyes when other people say it as well, but I'm also like trying to internalize that message. And so it's very much be kind to yourself, let yourself have the grace that you give to others. Because that's kind of something that we can very easily forget about. Um, yeah. And so I'll like I'll open up with that and not take too many of the words of wisdom.
Yeah, always a lot. Always everybody has wonderful words of wisdom. We never fall short of them, so always take as much as we can. How about Cheryl? How about yourself?
Sure. I love that, David. Thank you. I think that I just to remind everyone that you're not behind. I remember when I first transferred in, I just thought I was behind. It's like you're not behind, you belong here, and you're not doing anything wrong. Caregiving and parenting, I think, looks different for everyone, and it's okay to still be learning as you're going. I thought I had to have everything figured out. What's wrong with me that I don't, and just being mindful of everything that is on my plate. Again, giving myself grace to ask questions and to reach out for support if you need it. And you just to remind you, like everyone, not to, you don't have to have everything figured out now and that you're doing a great job. And I always just tell myself to suit up and show up and to do my best. I remember my son's baseball team, they say, do your best, forget the rest. And hopefully that's good enough. So that's what I got.
Awesome. Great, great words there as well. Alexis, how about yourself?
I love the fact that both of the past questions, David focused on being kind to self. And the first time he mentioned it, I was like, oh, that is a good thing. And the second time, I was like, maybe there's a message to me. Um, it is important to be kind to yourself and just understand that sometimes you are doing your best. And I would tell myself, like, time would go by and I would wish I did certain things differently. But then I would realize that in that moment and with the knowledge I had, the experience I had, that was the best decision. So in little things, I try to acknowledge that it's important to be kind to me. Also, what was it? Being unique. Being unique is important. I would like to encourage, especially parenting students, to know that your experience is a unique experience and the way that you may approach something, your reasoning And the classes that I do in counseling and social change, like I love going to school. I love the fact that, I'll get my bachelor's, but also the fact that these classes that I'm taking, especially the counseling and social change, it helps me to be a better person. It helps me to understand myself more. And that's one of the reasons why I love the counseling school of psychology more. Uh, and I think I'll be able to better assist others. I'm a community organizer. So a lot of the skills that I get in class, I'm able to apply to myself. And I think that it's important to know that your identity, your culture, your history, that plays an important part in your decision making and your belief of self currently. So just know that you're unique and your experiences brought you to where you are, and just keep doing the best that you can. And when you know better, you do better. And lastly, because I'm a parent, I know I'm a role model to my children. And as they're getting older, they're holding me more accountable to being better because when they're younger, you could get away with things as the adult. Like, hey, like discipline. They can't tell. But now, if I tell my kids to do something, they would be like, but mom, I don't see you doing that. So they help me to not only tell them what to do, but also discipline myself. So just know that your children are looking up to you, or whoever you're a caregiver for, they're looking up to you. So be careful. Practice what you preach. Thank you.
That's great, great, great advice there. Yeah. It sounds like everybody seems to address that issue about take care of yourself as well. Um, how important that is, the auto self-care, to recharge yourself, to let you know everything is okay. Uh, Many times, not sure where to go for that information or what resources are available. So I'll bring up this next question for us. How can faculty or staff, fellow students, and the university as a whole better support caregivers on campus?
Um, I just have to say one thing after Alexis was talking about being a parent student, because I was going to say, I think that um, for those of you that are parenting and going to school, that you're modeling learning for your kids, and that's so powerful. I remember when I was in high school, my mom was going to law school, so I saw her, working full time, going to law school, and she was stressed, and she was just, but it was really inspiring to me to see my parent. You kind of don't see, I don't know. It's sort of like I could relate to her, like, okay, because I was in high, we're both working hard. So I think that um, that's something cool that parent caregivers or that caregivers bring to the student space is that they're, like you said, you're a role model for your kids at home, but also for the other caregivers that might be in your classes that haven't necessarily embraced that, label as a caregiver. So I just wanted to throw that out there. In terms of support, specifically in terms of school, um, my I will say that my all of my professors over these, 3 years that I've been at school, when the caregiving stuff sort of bubbles up and takes me away from my studies, if I, explain the situation, if I need an extension or if I'm going to turn something late, like everybody's been very flexible and supportive. And providing resources like campus resources in the counseling center or wherever it might be. So that is helpful. Um, like I mentioned, there is the financial impact of trying to find the time to go to school and caregive. So if there was like a subsidy of some sort for caregivers, that would be pretty
Mm.
awesome. Um, that's a sort of a practical one. I think just in general, whether it is on campus or wherever your workplace may be, or when you're at the ballot box, to vote for and support policies that support caregivers, because policies that support caregivers support everybody. All of us will either provide care or receive care at some point in our lives. We'll probably be in both roles at some point. So I think, I feel like caregiving supportive policies that allow for more flexibility in time, more flexible leave when people have like really intense caregiving seasons. Those things sort of benefit our society as a whole. They allow people that are employees to have better work-life balance so that you can retain those employees and retain those students, instead of losing them because they couldn't balance things. Um, so that would be my input.
So great, great, great information. David?
Yeah, I think flexibility, I think is needed for sure, and I think that uh, Heather has shared with me. I've also had the same experience with a lot of the professors that we've had. We, I guess, are kind of we can't necessarily speak for the entirety of SDSU, so we don't necessarily know what the other um, like other departments and their professors and their policies are regarding these kind of flexibilities. I think we are in a more luckier state of the SDSU, the Department of SDSU under social work, where a lot of the conditions really are kind of like sometimes they are like even professors are caregiving as well, so they understand a lot of the complexities around that. So I think just overall, like increasing the ability to have that flexibility when it is needed and when it is necessary, that's always going to be helpful and allow for a lot of the nuance that kind of comes with the caregiving and comes with the territory of caring for other human beings. It is not going to be clean cut. It is not going to be something that is scheduled and happening between 9 to 5. It is something that is, again, happening really throughout the day, sometimes at night, sometimes late in the morning or early in the morning. Um, I think that another kind of avenue that I was kind of thinking about with the question and also just kind of combining the question of how to support but also how to like share those words of encouragement is just kind of allowing for a kind of almost like culture of caregiving to be cultivated at SDSU, whether that be through groups, whether that be through supports, whether that is just being able to name something and have other people kind of celebrate that with you. Little accomplishments sometimes can kind of go a long way and just kind of be like allow a sort of like reminder of um yeah, a little bit of the reminder of like why we are doing caregiving, why this is a part of kind of our life and the benefits that kind of come with it. It gives different kinds of perspectives. So just kind of being able to like enjoy the work with others that are in that kind of realm. I think me and Heather will sometimes stay after class a little bit, just discussing like class, but also discussing like caregiving. And we both come from the same kind of world. And so being able to build beyond just those individual connections could really lend a lot towards the facilitation and the like existence or the
Mm,
recognition, I should say, of caregivers going to school at the same time, whether that is someone that is closer to my age, whether that is someone who is returning back to school, whether that is someone just kind of newer to the space and is just like, I see my mom doing a lot of that for my grandma. Like there are opportunities and avenues that could be made available, and just being able to kind of create those and those as well being flexible, whether that is online. So then if someone is actively caregiving, being able to provide those. So there's some few tangible things. I feel like I always kind of whenever answering some of these questions, I kind of jump all over the place. So hopefully there are some like good answers that are coming up through that. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, it's university, very large communities you mentioned. It's staff, it's faculty as well that are also serving as caregivers and along with students. So each person or each group kind of provides their own services, in terms of how they can help out, to one another. So multifaceted, if you will. Yeah. Cheryl, how about yourself? What would you say is how the state as a whole, faculty, staff, students better support caregivers on campus?
I think like excuse me, allies can support caregivers and parenting students just by listening, being patient, offering flexibility, like everyone had shared when possible, and just like sharing resources that are available, checking in. Maybe even asking what the support looks like can make a big difference, I think, especially for caregivers, you know who are newer in the role, and as you know they're navigating this for the first time as well. So yeah, just being flexible and just really like truly listening and offering support.
Great, great. And Alexis?
Yes, the top two main things that were mentioned already, I would say first, flexibility is very, very important. Like parenting students need flexibility. Last semester I got 4 A's, and I just got an email saying I'm on the dean's list. So I'm very,
Yeah,
very excited. But it took a lot out of me. Last semester I went through a lot, and being able to have professors that had empathy and were able to listen to me, understand, and give me flexibility, that was a life changer. And it was hard for me to go to these professors because I felt as, even before approaching them and not knowing, I felt as if, well, I'm a student and the stereotype is out there, especially Black women. Like, hey, you got to choose. You're a parent or you're going to school, you're working. You have to figure it out or don't do it. But then how am I going to? I'm a single parent. So I have to work and I'm trying to be better and move up. Upward mobility is very important to me. So I have to educate myself. And also, as I mentioned earlier, being a good role model, I want to let my kids know education is important and just keep going. So, because of some, I want to call it barriers, but because of some of the things that are in place, it makes it a little more difficult, but I'm so thankful for the professors that did understand. And then I know that there are those professors that don't understand. But I think that's the reason why having PPSI on campus is so important, because it's and even this panel, it's an opportunity to inform those faculty, staff, of how important it is that we need this support on our campus. And as some faculty and staff, they're just not aware. And it's not as if they're trying to be mean, they're just not aware. So yeah, flexibility definitely helped me, and I really promote that. Secondly, funding. Funding, funding. That would really help the parenting students on campus to feel supported. Like there are a lot of resources on campus. The basic needs department, the having counseling, childcare is there. But I just think that if there's more funding for PPSI, then there are more opportunities to do outreach, and then there will be incentives, because it's hard to tell parenting students to do something for free. Like, hey, just come and stop by. Like, if a parenting student, they might need a nap, or they might have to go do an interview, or they might have to work. So, like, hey, what am I going to choose? Like, I really do care about advocating and being part of community, but there are these things that I need to do for my family. So, having funding so we could have things like provide a gas card, gas card for parenting students, being able to, and I know the Women's Resource Center, their diapers, there are things available for parenting students, and I love the fact that we have the lactation room. So there are a lot of things that this program has done to bring inclusion on campus, but I think with funding, there's a lot more that we can offer. And I know money is hard. I just went to a town hall and it was the community college district, and the chancellor, he goes to Sacramento and he advocates for funding. I don't know who does it at SDSU, but when there's a need for funding, it's important to try and say, hey, could we squeeze a little bit in specifically for our parenting students? It was the budget allocation is out, and being a community organizer, I'm like, I pay attention to all of this. Like, where's funding going? And it's ridiculous that a third, um, not a third, like 2/3 of the money that is available, it's going to law enforcement. And then I'm like, where's childcare? What about higher ed institutions? What do we care about in our society? So I just think funding should be a very important topic here. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, for the information. And yeah, for sure. I think the funding is one of those areas where, we all could definitely take full advantage if we can get the appropriate funding for all our programs. I'll kind of put this one out, and I know if anybody has any questions for our panels, if they're able to just add it on their in the Q&A box, that'd be great. But I'll kind of add this question, and Alexis kind of mentioned this as well. Have from your guest perspective, are there organizations or places on campus that you found that have been really beneficial, as you navigate as a student and caregiver?
Um,
Yeah, thank you.
I'm a non-traditional single parent, first gen student, so EOP has been really helpful for me. I know like when I first started at SDSU back in 2006, I failed because I just didn't have the support. No one in my family really had been through college or was helping me with that. So when I came back, I I didn't even know that program was available, but when I came back, they were very supportive and they had tutoring and just like the staff there. Our spa advisor was there and she was super encouraging. That's where I learned that student parents can get priority registration, which is really benefit in planning the schedule. Um, you know, and I really learned there that, I used like caregiving and parenting, it's sometimes seen as a liability, but I realize it's, more of a strength because, we're doing so many, it's just something not to hide and you can use it as a strength because we're doing all these different things and it kind of shows that what we're actually capable of doing. Like Alexis said, she got a 4.0 in her first semester with everything else that was going on, so and to like definitely like celebrate the little wins, the little victories that are actually kind of big, huge wins. And also the Women's Resource Center was very helpful. Just having that safe space to hang out and be able to relate with others. Um, the Basic Needs Center was definitely very helpful when my son was having, in diapers and the wipes, which he isn't anymore. But there's a lot of other places as well, but I'll let some of the others share.
So I just have two, but two very impactful ones. The Women's Resource Center for sure. That's my top support. Like before, when I found out I got into SDSU, I was like, during the summer, what to do? I was out there scouting. I was walking around SDSU trying to find my community. And I walked in the Women's Resource Center and it was so welcoming. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna need a job when I transfer. Are there any like availabilities here? What do I need to do? I need community. I need to find a home. And I applied and I was able to be the Pregnant and Parenting Student Initiative lead for 2 semesters. Since then, I've been working on finding balance, but I'm getting better every semester. What I really enjoyed the most in that role, not only getting out and sharing about that space being available, which was good. I love outreach, but our Friday meetings was real always so good, and I actually miss it so much because all the staff we came together and we would share about our week, we share about our goals, and then we have an activity together. And I look forward to it because it motivated me, and it helped kind of made me feel like a sense of belonging on campus. So that was really helpful as I transitioned from a culture of a community college to that huge SDSU. Another thing is the my academic advisor. I love her. She has been so helpful. And I changed my major like twice, and the second time, I was so embarrassed to go to her. So I sent her a message like, hey, I think I might want to change my major, but I'm not sure. Could we have a meeting? So when I went into her office, she's like, do not feel bad. It is okay. And guess what? The idea that she had for me, she's like, I actually have been looking into some things, and here's an idea that you could do since you're exploring your major. And she recommended the IS3D that I'm currently doing. She recommended it, and I'm like, oh, that's what I came here for. I thought you would be mad at me. But she's like, no, I'm here to support you. So I don't like rejection too much, so I just excused myself, and I didn't want to feel bad or feel like I'm asking too much. But she's like, no, that's what I'm here for. I do understand. I'm here to support you. And lastly, the professors, like based on the majors that I'm in, these professors, they're really understanding. And similar thing, I wasn't doing well in one of my classes coming on to the end of last semester. And I was so afraid to communicate with the professor. I went during her office hours, and she was like, thank you so much for coming in. It's good to see you face to face. I know some, students might not be very honest, but I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing with me what's happening. And she was able to be flexible with me. So, um, having that support goes a long way. That goes when it comes to higher education. That goes with students deciding they can't do it anymore, take a break and end up like not returning, or having their retention percentage increase, because if students have the support, they're gonna stay, and they're gonna feel as if, okay, I can do it. I'm gonna stay on, and I'm gonna graduate. So I'm very grateful so far with the help I've had at SDSU.
Right. Yeah. Sounds like you guys have take advantage of, some of the supports that are available. A lot of times people don't know, so hopefully encourage everybody to reach out to Women's Resource Center within Associated Students, is find out what's available for you on campus, because there are some resources, but oftentimes we don't either take advantage of it because we don't know. So definitely encourage everybody to reach out and just educate a little bit more what's available. So, but before we close up, I do want to thank our student panelists for their honesty and willingness to share their stories today. Conversations like this help us better understand, the caregiving is not separate from student life, but it is part of student life for many individuals. So if today's discussions resonated with you, we encourage you to stay connected with SEAL and again, Women's Resource Center to learn more about our programs. In October, we plan on hosting our third annual Caregiver Resource Fair on campus, and would love to see you there. So again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Again, a big thank you for our panel for sharing, and hope to see everybody at our next webinar, and hope to continue this conversation, be well supported on campus. So thank you very much for everybody. Have a great day.